Oh, hi, you're early. Give me a couple minutes and I'm gonna fix myself up and I'll be right back. Hi, welcome to my parlor. I'm Priscilla Andrews with Prairie Parlor, and thank you for joining me today to learn how to make texture sheets of your own. You don't need very many items and it doesn't take a lot of time. So, I hope you enjoy and let's get started. We're going to go on a hunt for things that you might have thought of or might not have thought of to use to make texture sheets. We're also going to kill a lot of those ugly canes, so let's get started. Here's the supplies. I use tracing paper or you can use wax paper. I find the 4x6 inch size works best. You're going to need some Scotch tape and use a couple different blades, your stiff one and then your flexible one later. The tools I use are only these three. This is a tool that has like a scallop on one end and a pointed tool on the other, your Exacto knife, and just a blending tool with two different sizes. You're going to use your extruder a lot. And these are the blades that I end up using, or the discs I mean, the different shapes and sizes that I use the most. We're going to be using your roller and your water as a release agent. And then to bond some pieces, your liquid polymer clay or a bacon bond. You're going to roll your scrap clay out to the thickest setting on your machine and make as many sheets as you can to use today. One housekeeping notice: I'm left-handed and my thumbs are double jointed. So let's give it a go. The first one we're going to start with is a piece of leftover shelf liner that I found and wondered how would that look on clay. So I did it and I baked a piece. On the left side is the baked piece, on the right is a raw clay design. This has got to be one of my favorite pieces. It can be used for almost anything. I took my awl and I just made striped designs all over a center, and it's so versatile. This is a crazy cane that I just made a fantasy flower out of. I love the little donut things. This is a pendant that hasn't been baked yet, but I love the effect. It makes great petals for flowers also. This is an iris that I made out of it. It also makes a great background for a pendant or jewelry. This particular piece was stained and polished. Now we're going to pick it up another level and I'm going to have you make something of your own design. Well, if you want to, but this is what I did. This was rolled out on the number 2 setting on my Atlas machine, and I'm going to double it over because what we're going to do is make our own design. I made that little spiral design by making a strip on the thickest setting on my Atlas. And then I curled it around a whole lot better than I'm doing here. And you can find the instructions for this on the PDF that will be found on the tinypandora.com website. But I bonded this to a piece of clay and then I baked it, and I have a nice little stamp. So you just start stamping on the sheet with a stamp that you made, or if something you have works well, and I'll show you a little bit more about that later. But this one is sticking, so what I need is to spray a little bit of water, spread it out a little bit, and try the stamp again. And make sure you press it in hard and deep if you are going to be doing a makume gane effect, or if you, sometimes you need to spray water in the stamp. But if you are going to be staining or something like that, you want a nice deep impression. Now we get to look at some everyday objects in a different way. Let's start with some yarn and that old doily with a stain on it. And here is some flowers and leaves and stuff. And I found this in the model tank section of the hobby store. It's some rocks. So let's start with that yarn. It was kind of hard to screw this one up, but I didn't know what I would get. I cut up some short pieces and made big knotted areas of that. And I just curled it up and around and over, and then I rolled it into the clay. And it kind of gave me an interesting effect. If you're into, I don't know what it would be, but let's look at those rocks. When I got the form, it wasn't quite what I wanted. I wanted some rocks, but I wanted them all together. So I ended up making copies of the rocks individually, and I put them all onto a sheet of clay that I had rolled out, and I filled in the spaces with smaller rocks, and I baked it with the end goal in mind being the fact that I needed a negative but not a positive. But now I have two sheets, so I can have two different effects, which is a nice little benefit of making your own. And now we're going to do the exact same thing with our little flower garden. We're going to make a positive or a model so that we can make a mold of our flower garden. So we are essentially going to be making two plates. We're going to make one, and then we're going to make a mold of it. And that again is the benefit of making your own. You're going to have two different products. Here I used a pendant that had some pearls hanging from it because I wanted to make something that looked like branches. And what I ended up with was a piece that looked very tropical. And that doily turned out really cool. And I think it was because it was thick and had a lot of texture. And I just loved what I came up with. And I have some breaking news. tinypandora.com is going to be carrying the PDF for all of my tutorials for free. So if you want a printout of this tutorial and any of my other tutorials, just go to tinypandora.com. Here's some of my other inspirations for texture. And in 2 weeks, you will find out how to design your own. So check back and subscribe to this channel, and you will be automatically notified. Thank you for joining me in my parlor, and stay tuned. Who knows what our adventures will be and how we will get there.